Hi, my name is David. This is infj Writer, and today we're going to answer the question, how do I become a writer? It's actually a lot easier and a lot more difficult than you think. The question, how do I become a writer, is much more complicated and much simpler at the same time than you might think. It's simple. The simple answer, I guess, is this. How do you become a writer? Write stuff. Congratulations, you're a writer. Now, how do I write stuff gets it a little bit more complicated. How do I become Stephen King is even more complicated than that. So there are multiple levels to this whole thing, and I just wanted to kind of give my thoughts on becoming a writer. It's something that I am in the process of doing. Well, I am a writer, but I'm in the process of stretching my writing muscles and, getting out there a little bit more. And so I thought I'd just kind of give you my perspective on this. It is true. To become a writer, all you have to do is write stuff. When you're writing a story and working on a book, you're a writer. Congratulations. Not a published author yet, but a writer. To become a published author, you have to take that work and get it into some kind of physical or digital form, get it out there, and then people see it, and so on and so forth. Now you are an author, and you can walk around and say, hey, I have a book. Don't forget to send one to mom. Now, the question of how do I write stuff starts to get a little bit more complicated and involved because writing is a craft and it's something that you can work on and learn and become, excel at. Take, for instance, writing dialogue. This is not something that comes very naturally to a lot of people, and you have to sort of work on it some by reading what you're writing out loud to make sure that it makes sense and that it's not just he said this and she said that and he said this and she said that and he said this and she said. Nobody wants to read that. So this is something that's part of the craft of writing. And sometimes people have just a natural skill for this sort of thing, and sometimes you don't. And you don't really translate what you hear in speech to what it looks like as words on the page, which is why a lot of people suggest, hey, you should read this out loud. Read it out loud, make sure it flows, and it makes sense. And if you notice that it's like, well, this is kind of weird, like I keep seeing this pattern over and over again, or I'm going to fall asleep reading my own book, or wow, how many times can I use the word he said or she said on a page? Then obviously this is part of the craft that you have to work on. And you do that by picking up some resources, reading a little bit, trying to see what other people do and how their dialogue flows. Find something that's in a story where you're like, wow, that was such memorable dialogue. How do I do that? And then read over it and see where those dialogue tags are and how everything sort of works out. These are all the things that are going to help you become a better writer. Really, the first step to writing is to write something because you can't edit what you don't have. You can't publish what exists only in your mind. So you need something down on the page. You need to get to that point where you're sitting there and putting words down, and those are words that you can kind of work with and shape over time. And typically, when people do their first draft, it's not the most beautiful thing ever, which is totally fine. That's what you do, and you put some coats of polish on it. It's much like, building furniture or something like that. At first it's sort of like a rough thing, and then eventually it gets a finish, and then, hey, look, that's a really pretty piece of furniture to put my published book in. Another thing you're going to need if you're going to become a published author is some sort of connection to the world. This is something that I struggle with personally. You can't be a writer and just hide in your basement and write things. You can't be a published author if you are just hiding in your basement and writing things and they're just for you. So really, what do you want out of writing? Is it something that you want to do because you get to stretch your creative muscles and tell a story? Awesome. Do that. You're a writer. There's no other caveat to it. That's what you are. And you can walk around and tell people, I am a writer. Sure, maybe you write just for yourself, and maybe that goal is different for somebody else, and they may look at you and be like, you're not a writer, you're not published. Well, there is a difference there. So really defining the goal is a very important step in this entire process. What kind of a writer do you want to be? Answer that question, and then you can answer, how do I become that writer? For me, I have a very obvious, I have stated this goal many, many times, which is I want to write and complete the book, get it published, and whether that's self-published or traditional publishing, I have no idea. I don't know. I'm not even worrying about that because I'm still in the middle of writing a book. And at that point, sell one copy to one person that I don't know and that's never met me. And at that point, score. I'm a published author, and that's pretty awesome. And then work out from there. And if I want to do more and market more, then I can market the work more. Being a published author involves marketing and involves outreach and talking to people, and sure, a little bit of schmoozing and all those other things. Mostly, I just want to make sure that you understand, if you're watching this and you're thinking, how do I become a writer? You write things, and you are, and you should call yourself a writer and be proud of that. You're taking a step that not a lot of people take, where they say, I want to do something, and they don't actually take any action towards that goal. To wrap this up, I think the main thing is this: to understand that to become a writer, you have to write. And to become a published author, you've got to take some steps to get involved in some marketing and get involved with getting into the professional scene and knowing people and reaching out to people and talking to lots of people and sort of putting yourself out there some. Before you do any of that, though, answer the question, what kind of a writer do I want to be? Don't worry about what other people think or say so much about what you're writing, because you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. And that's totally cool too. You'll find your audience by just being who you are and being an authentic self. That is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe. I think it's down here. I'm not sure. And please give me a thumbs up if you like it, and hopefully you do. And if you don't give me a thumbs down. That'd be great. And I will catch you on the next one. Thanks so much.